At our third anniversary celebration, Sterling's victory banquet, my husband Dylan took the hand of America's newest sweetheart in front of every guest. He lifted his glass and declared, "Thank you, Aurora, for these 3 years. My true love is back, so it's time I return the title of Sterling to its rightful owner." His assistant stepped forward and slid me a compensation check. "The CEO says this settles everything. From now on, we're even." I stared at the laughable figure, then slowly curved my lips for every camera in the room. I pulled out my phone, dialed my lawyer, and hit speaker. "Attorney, inform Sterling that the licensing contract on the core patent keeping them alive expires tonight. I will not be renewing." "Attorney, inform Sterling that the licensing contract on the core patent keeping them alive expires tonight. I will not be renewing." Attorney's calm, steady voice came back. "Understood, Sterling. Legal will send the formal notice immediately." I ended the call, and the air in the Grand crystallized. Every lens, every stare shifted from shock to disbelief, finally locking on Dylan's ash-gray face. "Aurora, have you lost your mind?" Dylan jerked away from Bella and closed the distance in 3 strides, fury ready to swallow me whole. Bella, face that graces a million billboards, clutched his sleeve, voice trembling. "Dylan, is Sterling overwhelmed?" Such a thoughtful actress. I ignored her and looked at the man I'd called husband for 3 years. "I've lost my mind?" I laughed softly and raised the flimsy check between us. 10 million to erase 3 years of marriage and the Sterling estate's debt to my family. Who's delusional now, Dylan? Lydia, my mother-in-law, finally snapped out of it. She click-clacked over, finger stabbing at me. "Aurora, don't push your luck. Where has Sterling wronged you? My son doesn't love you, take the money and leave. Why disgrace us tonight?" "Disgrace?" My smile widened. "Mother, who plugged the cash hemorrhage when Sterling's chain was about to break 3 years ago? Who drained her family's reserves to keep you afloat? Who pulled 300+ all-nighters to write the code that let Sterling pivot? Tonight you toast, what exactly? The glory of burning the bridge after you crossed it?" My voice was low, but in the hushed ballroom every syllable rang like a bell. Lydia's face flashed red, then white, her painted lips fluttering without sound. Dylan snatched the check and shredded it. "Aurora, I know your game." He leaned in, breath hot against my ear. "You think the patent will drag me back? Forget it. I love Bella, past, present, future. Give it up." I stared at his arrogant certainty and almost pitied him. "Dylan, you still don't get it. This isn't blackmail. It's notice." I stepped back, putting air between us, eyes sweeping the circling press. "From this second, every Sterling device running the Morningstar system is infringing. Ready for the tidal wave of damages?" Without waiting for the encore, I turned and walked out, head high, flashbulbs popping like fireworks behind me. Crash! A champagne flute exploded against marble. I never looked back. Outside, the night breeze chased away the stink of champagne and hypocrisy. My phone buzzed nonstop. "Maya. Sterling, you're #1 on the trending hashtag. Hashtag Sterling CEO cheats, wife holds nuclear switch." I slid into the back seat. "Stock price?" "Pre-market's already locked and trading halt," Maya said, glee barely hidden. "The whole valley's asking what Morningstar even is." Dylan called? 23 times, straight to voicemail. "Your mother-in-law and Victor are blowing up reception." I flicked my phone to silent and tossed it on the leather. Neon blurred outside the window, a fever dream in fast forward. 3 years of marriage, dream I wove strand by strand, then crushed with one snap of my fingers. An unknown number slipped through. I picked up. "Aurora, what the hell do you want?" Dylan's roar rattled the speaker. "You think this parlor trick topples Sterling? Dream on." I held the phone at arm's length until the bellowing stopped. CEO Sterling, as a courtesy, let me remind you, Morningstar isn't a trick. It's the brain and nerves of every energy line you own. Only I can read its pulse. Without it, your billion-dollar plants spit out scrap metal. Silence. I could feel his rage turn icy, then fracture into fear. Finally, a hoarse whisper, name your price, cash, shares, anything. Just renew. He wanted to negotiate. He had nothing I wanted. I want nothing. I eased the car into traffic, voice soft as smoke. I'm simply displeased. And I plan to watch Sterling, and the Sterling clan, topple from their glass tower. You wouldn't dare, watch me. I hung up, blocked the number, and let the night swallow the headlights. I didn't drive to the marital mansion. I headed for the penthouse loft I'd bought under a shell company, my private war room. Logan greeted me with a glass of warm water. All done? Just started. I took a sip. Sterling will throw their best hackers at the code, he warned, adjusting his gold-rimmed glasses. Let them. I stepped to the floor-to-ceiling window, the Sterling Tower blazing across the river. I baked 365 backdoors. Each one a trapdoor to hell. Sterling's countermove came faster than I expected. At dawn, Victor, company chairman and family patriarch, showed up with Dylan. Not at the marital home, they pinpointed my supposedly secret loft. Looks like their dossier on me runs deeper than I thought. Logan opened the door. Victor's eyes flicked to him, surprise quickly buried under boardroom varnish. He brushed past, gaze settling on me with elder authority. Little yen, marital spats are family business. Why drag outsiders in? Dylan followed, face stormy, as if catching me with another man. Dad, shut it. Victor cut him off, tone milder when he addressed me. Aurora, I know Dylan hurt you. Make him apologize. He shoved Dylan forward. Dylan ground out, sorry, 2 syllables, 0 remorse. I kept watering my fiddle leaf fig as if they were furniture. Victor's patience thinned. We're family. Air dirty laundry in private. If Sterling collapses, you go down too, the world will call you a discarded, vengeful wife. Family? I set the watering can down and met his eyes. Chairman Sterling, did you feel family last night when your son revoked my marital identity on live television? Where was that family feeling then? Victor's mouth opened, no words, only the dry click of dentures. Dylan finally snapped. Aurora, don't push your luck. My dad came personally to give you a way down, what more do you want? I don't want anything. I walked to the sofa, sat, and crossed my legs. I simply want you both out of my private residence, because your presence makes the air feel filthy. You, Dylan lunged. Dylan. Victor caught his arm, eyes dark as he stared at me. Aurora, it seems you're determined to declare war on the Sterlings. Your son tore the mask off first. Fine. Excellent. Victor nodded, cruelty flashing in his gaze. Young woman, don't be so rash. You really believe one patent can choke Sterling's future? You underestimate me. He turned to Dylan. Let's go. I'd love to see how long she gloats without the Sterlings behind her. Father and son stormed out. Logan shut the door and stepped to my side. He'll fight dirty. I know. I pulled out my phone and opened a voice memo. Minutes earlier, before I'd opened the door, I'd planted a micro-recorder in the hallway. Victor's line, you really believe one patent can choke Sterling's future? You underestimate me, played crystal clear. I sent the clip to Maya. Find a gossip blog. Caption it, hashtag Sterling chairman admits Morningstar value allegedly threatens patent holder hashtag Logan grinned. You're backing them toward a cliff. No. I stared out the window, gaze glacial. This is only the beginning. My phone buzzed, an expected caller. Dylan's nemesis, the CEO of Cross Holdings, Adrian. Sterling, interested in a high-stakes partnership? How high does Adrian want to play? I lounged back, tone lazy. A low laugh crackled down the line, magnetic. I want the Sterling tract. I want to borrow the knife in your hand. The $3 billion new energy campus Sterling owns east of downtown? Sharp as ever, Sterling. I can lend the blade. What does Adrian offer besides cash? Everything money can't buy, he replied, certain. I'll help you reclaim all you've lost, including justice for your father. My heart lurched, my grip on the phone tightened. What do you know? Far more than the Sterling suspect, he murmured. Uncle Marcus didn't simply fail and fade. After he hung up, I sat in silence. Logan studied my pallor. What happened? I shook my head, chest crushed by an invisible boulder. My father's death was the deepest thorn in my heart. Everyone claimed his project had been scooped by an overseas rival, leaving him broken, so he took his life. I never believed it. A man that resilient wouldn't surrender to one setback. Another reason lurked behind it, and I'd always suspected the Sterlings. That suspicion fuels the scheme I've nursed for years, the vow to raise their empire. Night came, and Dylan returned. Alone this time. Without his father's shadow, his swagger had evaporated, replaced by exhaustion and fragility. He carried a cake from the patisserie I loved, standing at the door like a stray retriever. Aurora, can we talk? He used my pet name, something he hadn't done since our honeymoon. I let him in. He set the box on the table, hovering awkwardly in the middle of the living room. The company, it's bleeding, he said quietly. Partners are frozen, banks are calling loans. Dad, he nearly collapsed. I said nothing, only watched. He edged closer, cautious, as if I might shatter. Aurora, I was wrong. His voice lowered, husky. I let Bella blind me. I shamed you at the gala. I said unforgivable things. He reached to cup my cheek, I turned away. His hand hung in midair, light dimming in his eyes. I cut her off. I'm making her release a statement, quit the industry. I'm giving you back the title of Sterling, no, it was always yours. Let's go back to the way we were, please? That plea, that devotion, I'd once coveted it. For that look I'd knelt in the dust. I studied the face I'd loved for 10 years, something in my chest fluttered. Maybe he truly regretted it. Maybe I gazed at him, slowly, as if softening. Dylan, are you telling the truth? Seeing a crack, his eyes blazed, he nodded frantically. Every word. Aurora, I love you. Only you, always. He thought he'd won. He thought cheap sweet talk could erase the wreckage. He thought I was still the Aurora he could summon and dismiss at will. Watching his ecstasy, I smiled, softly, just as he leaned in to kiss me. Then I stepped back, widening the space. Dylan. My voice was calm, a blade of ice. Too late. The Aurora who adored you died 3 years ago, on our wedding night, when you murmured Bella in your sleep. His rapture fractured and fell away. He gaped, pupils pinpricks. You heard that? I heard everything. I met his stare, enunciating each syllable. You were drunk, sprawled beside me, chanting another woman's name. Know what I felt, Dylan? He tried to speak, no sound came, color drained from his face. I realized this marriage was a joke from the start, and I was the biggest clown. He staggered, bumping the coffee table with a dull thud. No, you misheard. Misheard? I laughed until tears threatened. Then swear the box in your study safe, filled with every photo and love letter you and Bella exchanged from high school through college, isn't real. His skin turned ashen. That box safeguarded his so-called youth and true love. He assumed I knew nothing, assumed I was a docile accessory. You plotted against me from day one? Congratulations, finally catching up. I rose, standing over him. I married you not from limitless love, but to retrieve what belongs to my family. The Dawnlight system I created, its core theory derives from my father Marcus's unpublished notes your father Victor stole through deceit. What? Dylan reeled, as if seeing me, and his father, for the first time. Victor pilfered my dad's life work, claimed it as his own, secured the first round of funding, and that's how Sterling exists. My father, betrayed by his best friend, labeled a plagiarist, died of grief. Tell me, Dylan, shouldn't I ruin the Sterlings? Each sentence slammed into him like a bullet. He slumped to the carpet, vacant eyes shaking. No. Dad isn't like that, impossible. Impossible? I hurled a folder at his feet. Email chains between your father and mine. Their collaboration draft. Patent filings where Victor copied Marcus's data. Read it, see how your precious empire rose atop my father's corpse. With trembling fingers he lifted the papers. The more he read, the paler he became, breath ragged. The truth was merciless enough to shatter every conviction he'd carried since childhood. I watched him wander off like a ghost and felt nothing. For 3 years I played the perfect wife, loving you, honoring your parents, while, inch by inch, I threaded the Morningstar system through every artery of Sterling until it became the heartbeat you can't live without. The only thing I was waiting for was yesterday. A single moment to watch you, your whole dynasty, plummet from the brightest spotlight to the deepest ditch. You handed me the knife yourself, Dylan. I leaned down, lips brushing his ear, and whispered like the devil himself. Now the real game begins. Dylan drifted away in a daze. I never saw how he left. I only know that the cake he'd carried in stayed boxed and untouched until I pitched it, carton and all, into the trash. Logan stepped out of the study, face grim. You showed him every last ace? Not every one. I lifted the glass of water that had long gone cold. I only gave him the part he wanted to hear. Victor's an old fox, he won't fold without a fight. I know. I stared into the black night. He'll come back slashing, and it'll be filthy. Sure enough, by next morning the wind online had swung 180 degrees. Hashtag Aurora cheated, genius bombshell betrays hubby, teams with outsider to gut Sterling fortune hashtag golden couple no more. Tech prodigy turned calculating viper hashtag paid trolls and gossip blogs swarmed, painting me as a jealous wife who'd schemed for years to torch her husband's empire. Photos of Logan and me outside the penthouse loft, shot from every sneaky angle, were waved around as proof we were absurdly, suspiciously close. Even Bella jumped on the pile. She posted a novella-length thread littered with "we couldn't help it" and "true love," casting herself as the long-suffering romantic and me as the conniving third wheel who weaponized marriage for revenge. Her performance as a heartsore martyr harvested oceans of pity from fans and passers-by alike. The tide turned against me overnight. Maya's phone rang so hard it vibrated off the desk. Sterling, what do we do? You're trending under every filthy hashtag, someone doxed your loft, and reporters plus Bella's fans are already downstairs. Let them chant. My voice stayed flat. Victor wants to smother me with noise. So we wait. Let the old man finish his aria. I hung up and opened Adrian's chat thread. Adrian, that partnership you mentioned? Green light. He replied within a heartbeat, I was waiting for you to say go. 30 minutes later Cross Holdings' official account dropped a statement. Regarding the recent libel against our strategic partner Aurora, we reserve the right to pursue full legal recourse. Further, Cross Holdings is proud to announce a joint venture with Sterling and her team to develop next-generation artificial intelligence technology. The post detonated like a bunker buster inside the boiling rumor mill. Cross Holdings, the only conglomerate that can go toe-to-toe with Sterling. Adrian, the wunderkind widely viewed as colder, sharper, and farther-sighted than Dylan. Public backing from Cross weighed more than any wordy denial. Then the second lander hit. A famous tech blogger claimed he'd cracked a snippet of Morningstar and found an Easter egg, 4 capitals woven into the code, MARC. The caption read, "You may not recognize the name, but a decade ago Marcus lit up Silicon Valley before tragedy struck. Now his signature lives inside his daughter's code." Question 4 at Sterling Corp Chairman Victor, care to explain? The tweet paired Dad's old press photo with a timeline of how Victor had allegedly siphoned his work. The blaze of public rage pivoted straight at the Sterling gates. I scrolled through the reversing comment feed, then rang Logan. "Logan, ready?" "Born ready." "Good." I drew a slow breath. Online press conference in 1 hour. The world is going to hear my father's story. The conference, scripted by my crew and Adrian's, invited 0 Sterling-friendly outlets. Only the most rabid, pitbull reporters got links. I wore a plain white shirt, sat before a bone-white backdrop, no props, no slides, just me and the truth. "Hello. I'm Aurora." No teleprompter. I stared straight into the lens. "Before we talk about who owns Morningstar, let me tell you about my father, Marcus." I began with his student days, his obsession with discovery, the love story with my mother, the way he tucked me in every single night. Then I cut to Victor, once his best friend. My dad believed their bond was unbreakable. He poured every breakthrough, every blueprint, into their shared folder, convinced they would birth a new American tech age together. What arrived wasn't partnership, it was betrayal. I flashed the emails, Victor's lavish promises followed by poisonous, backstabbing reversals. Then I played Dad's final voice memo, recorded the night before he died. "Aurora, Daddy's sorry. Sorry I failed as a scientist, as a father, but remember, no one can steal knowledge, no cage can hold a mind. What I've left you lives inside you. Live, sweetheart, live." His voice cracked with exhaustion, bitterness, bottomless despair. The livestream chat froze. Even the harshest reporters went mute. My eyes burned red, but no tears fell. My father never plagiarized. He only trusted the wrong man. Morningstar is me, standing on his shoulders, finishing the dream he never could. Every line of code whispers his name. So here we are, Sterling, Chairman Victor, you bathed in a decade of glory built on stolen genius, you hounded my father to his grave, and now you want to bury me too? My last sentence echoed in the hush. The comment feed exploded. Holy hell, real-life dynasty blood feud. Victor's a leech. Thief and a killer. Lock him up. Aurora didn't break, she's the avenging angel. Bella, time to grovel. Dylan, your turn to burn. The tsunami of outrage swallowed the Sterling's whole. Sterling's stock price slammed into a trading halt and never resurfaced. Then my phone buzzed, Bella. I accepted, a shriek poured out. Aurora, you psycho. You ruined Dylan, you ruined me. Every brand dropped me. My next roll went poof. It's all your fault. I almost laughed at the tantrum. Cross, what exactly do you want? Name your price. Money? How much to spare Dylan? Spare us. I'll even shove Dylan back to you, I swear I'll vanish. Pathetic. Still trapped in her own fairy tale. Bella, I cut in, voice glacial, you still don't get it. Dylan was never the prize, only the shiniest wrench in my toolkit. And you? You're not even that. You're collateral damage. She imploded, shrieking, cursing, dragging my father through the mud. I listened without a word until she ran out of air. Finished? You know, your ranting face looks exactly like your victory grin on Dylan's arm, equally ugly. I ended the call. Waste of syllables. Her doom was sealed the second she clipped herself to Dylan's coattails. Within hours, the internet spat out every scrap of Bella's dirty laundry, bullying castmates, on-set tirades, tax evasion, and half a dozen explicit clips that would never make a feel-good rom-com. When the wall falls, everyone pushes. The same capital N fans who once hoisted her onto a pedestal are now the ones trampling her hardest. Her commercial value was erased overnight. And behind it all, of course, was Adrian. He sent a message, a small gift, hardly worth mentioning. I replied, "Thanks, Adrian. Call me Adrian." "All right, Adrian." Our relationship seemed to have slipped from strictly business into something unspoken, a flicker of shared understanding. With Bella's little sideshow done, the real war began. Victor, that old fox, broke his short silence and finally struck. No more gutter-level smear campaigns, he came straight for my jugular in the marketplace. He leveraged decades of contacts to rope in several firms tied to sterling interests, forming an anti-Daybreak coalition. They announced a joint venture to build a new smart platform to replace Daybreak and threatened a supply boycott against any upstream or downstream company that used it. A classic case of pulling the firewood from under the cauldron. He meant to strand me, turn Daybreak into an ivory tower with no stairs. One by one, the companies that had just expressed interest in partnering with me started to waver. Logan's face was grave. Victor is betting we don't have enough cash or muscle to take on his whole cabal. He bet right. I gazed out the window, calm. We really don't. Then what? Find someone who does. I picked up my phone and dialed Adrian. The moment he answered, I cut to the chase. "Adrian, Victor wants a knife fight." I saw. Adrian sounded amused. "Sterling, need ammo? I need your entire war chest." He laughed out loud. I love a woman with appetite. 3 o'clock, Cross Holdings Tower. I'll show you my arsenal. I hung up and looked at Logan. Get ready, we're meeting our ally. That afternoon, top floor of Cross Holdings. Adrian stood at the panoramic window, shoulders squared, like a king surveying his realm. He pointed at the clustered skyscrapers. Victor's alliance looks massive, but only 3 companies matter. He turned, eyes sharp. Chip supplier Huaca, battery maker Awning, and the biggest retail chain, Baichuan Group. Knock those 3 out and the whole front collapses. I met his gaze. You have a plan? Naturally. A confident smirk. Huaca's CEO has bad debt stranded overseas, I can call it in. Awning's core tech has a fatal flaw, and your Daybreak happens to be the perfect patch. As for Baichuan. He paused for effect. The heiress is my childhood friend. Her family's pushing her into a merger marriage with Dylan. I blinked. Seriously? Adrian grinned like a cat in cream. Imagine her reaction when I share the sterling dirty laundry over coffee. Zoe, famous for her temper and her refusal to be anyone's pawn. Marrying the disgraced Dylan would feel like a death sentence. His move was brutally elegant. You want me to meet her? I asked. Not alone. He shook his head. We go together. Why? Because sometimes woman to woman works better. His eyes glinted. And I want her to see the woman who brought the Sterlings to their knees. We arranged to meet Zoe at a private club. She arrived in a fire-red racing suit, hair in a high ponytail, every inch the daredevil. The second she walked in, she punched Adrian's shoulder. Adrian. Brass ones, huh? Using my engagement as leverage? He sidestepped, laughing. I'm saving you. You really want to marry that idiot Dylan? None of your damn business. She scowled, then sized me up. You're Aurora? Benson, I said with a small smile. She snorted, dropped onto the sofa, and crossed her legs. Cut the PR. Why am I here? I want Baichuan to cut every tie with Sterling. On what grounds? She arched a brow. Sterling offered my father terms he can't refuse. In business, only profit talks. What if I offer bigger profit? Interest sparked in her eyes. I'm listening. Daybreak will grant Baichuan exclusive top-tier API access. Build your own ecosystem on my platform, go from storefront to standard setter. I held her gaze. Selling your own brand beats hawking someone else's. You know that. Zoe's expression shifted from playful to shrewd. She understood the magnitude. Baichuan could evolve from retailer to tech titan, the leap her father had always dreamed of. Adrian added softly, Sterling is a sinking ship. Don't chain Baichuan to its anchor. Zoe went quiet, studying me for a long moment. Aurora, you've got guts, she finally said. More than I expected. She stood and thrust out her hand. Deal. I clasped it. Deal. With Baichuan secured, Huaca and Awning caved within hours before Adrian's checkbook and my code. Victor's anti-daybreak coalition crumbled in under 48 hours. Sterling's stock price nosedived again, this time past recovery. The shock sent Victor to the hospital with a stroke. The Sterlings were in free fall. Only one final target remained, my ex-mother-in-law, Lydia. I found her in a VIP hospital room. The once glittering matriarch now looked like a wilted bloom, plain clothes, no makeup, red eyes, wrinkles on full display. She didn't snarl like old times, she simply wept. Victor lay intubated, eyes closed, a shell of the titan he'd been. Come to gloat, she croaked. I came to admire my handiwork. I stepped to the bed and stared down at the old fox reduced to meat and tubes. Aurora, why so vicious, she sobbed. We gave you everything, silk, diamonds, the Sterling name. What more did you want? What more? I turned, smiling coldly. Mother, oh wait, Sterling. The day I entered this family you announced, in front of all the relatives, that a girl from a modest home like mine would never measure up to the Sterlings. Forgot already? I pulled 3 straight all-nighters finishing code in the study, and you stormed in shrieking that a real wife would have Dylan's breakfast ready. Ring any bells? Every time Bella visited you held her hand calling her my perfect daughter-in-law while ordering me to fetch tea like the maid. Remember? For 3 years you belittled, humiliated, and stomped on me. All wiped from your memory? Each sentence drained more color from her face. Her lips trembled, no reply came. What you see is charity, I see as payment owed. I rebuilt Sterling with my talent and sweat, and you treated me like disposable trash. So, Sterling, you ask why I'm ruthless? I leaned in until my reflection filled her terrified eyes. Because everything you see is what you taught me. Lydia finally cracked, collapsing on the floor in a flood of tears. I was wrong. Aurora, I was so wrong, please let us go, let Dylan go, he's still young, he can't go to prison. Prison? I froze for a second. Right then the hospital room door swung open and several uniformed officers walked in. The officer in front looked at me, then at Victor in the bed and Lydia on the ground. We've received a tip that Sterling is suspected of massive cooked books and securities fraud. Victor, Lydia, Dylan, you 3 need to come with us for questioning. I stared at the sudden turn of events, dazed. This wasn't in my script. My plan had stopped at corporate revenge, bankrupt them, strip their reputations. Who had given the final shove? My gaze slid, almost on instinct, to Adrian. The police led Lydia away and slapped a monitor on Victor's wrist. As for Dylan, another squad had already hauled him straight from the Sterling Tower. In a single day the Sterling dynasty, once the glittering pinnacle of Riverdale, toppled. I walked out of the hospital and slid into Logan's car, my head still spinning. "Wasn't you?" Logan asked, pulling into traffic. "No," I said, shaking my head. I'd gathered proof of the cooked books, but I hadn't pulled the trigger. "Then it was Adrian," Logan said, matter of fact. I took out my phone and stared at Adrian's name, but I didn't hit call. The man is deep water and sharp knives, he always does more than he says. Was he helping me only to crush a rival? Or did the board hold another piece he wanted? Back at the penthouse loft, I locked myself in the study and walked the whole game backward: the gala rupture, the hashtag reversal, the crumbling alliance, the cop's entrance. Every step felt like stones laid on a go grid, two players moving in uncanny rhythm. And tonight, for the first time, I wondered whether I was still a player, or the single stone Adrian most needed to capture. The doorbell rang well past midnight. Through the peephole, Adrian alone, carrying a thermal pot. I opened the door. "Bit late for house calls, isn't it? I was afraid you hadn't eaten." He handed me the pot and stepped inside as if he belonged. "Also came to answer the question knocking around your skull." He always could read the code in my eyes. I took the pot, lifted the lid, steaming shrimp and scallop congee. "Why?" I asked. "Why what?" He settled onto the couch, relaxed. "Why push it this far? Sterling in shackles gains you nothing extra." "Who says?" Adrian smiled. "Watching enemies get exactly what they deserve, that high is priceless." "Enemies?" I latched onto the word. His gaze cooled. "Aurora, did you think you were the only one with a blood feud against the Sterlings? My mother was a lead engineer on Marcus's team. Like your father, she trusted Victor. When the project imploded and Marcus died, she couldn't swallow the betrayal. Severe depression, 2 years later she followed him. A sledgehammer to the chest, I'd never heard this chapter. So we're not just allies," Adrian said, voice low. "We're a revenge pact." He rose, closed the distance. "Sterling is rubble now. Your parents can rest. So can mine." "And you?" I looked up. "Me?" He brushed a strand of hair from my cheek, gentler than I'd ever known him. "From day one I've wanted one thing, to pull you out of Dylan's cesspool and stand you beside me, so we can see the taller view together." I studied his eyes, no spreadsheets, no daggers, only clear, almost shy tenderness. My pulse stuttered. "Adrian, no answer required tonight," he cut in, hand falling away. "You've just fought a war. You need time to breathe, to recalibrate, to see me clearly." "I can wait." He left without pressure, closing the door softly. I sat clutching the warm congee until sunrise, sleep a stranger. The days that followed were eerily calm. With Adrian's evidence, the case moved at light speed: Victor, Lydia, Dylan, consecutive sentences, multiple counts. Sterling filed for Chapter 11 liquidation. Adrian and I swooped in, acquiring the Sterling hub and flagship line for cents on the dollar. We incorporated a new company, Sterling, borrowed from Marcus and from his mother, Susie Ewan. Opening morning, sunlight polished the fresh brass plaque. Adrian and I stood shoulder to shoulder fielding media flashes. Zoe arrived in razor-sharp tailoring, oversized basket of lilies in tow. "Aurora, clouds parted for you," she whisper-hugged me. "And for you, no more merger marriage," I whispered back. She laughed, then murmured, "Adrian's always had champagne taste. Snag him before I race him for your hand." Heat crept up my cheeks. Logan lounged nearby, pride in his grin. He'd signed on to head R&D. Everything curved upward. That night we threw a victory banquet. Adrian stayed glued to my side, intercepting every champagne push. Afterward his chauffeur drove me home, soft jazz filling the cabin. "Aurora," he said suddenly. "Free tomorrow?" Yes. Come somewhere with me. Next afternoon he took me to Hillside. We visited my parents first, then paused at a neighboring stone carved with Susie Ewan's name and gentle smile. Adrian laid white chrysanthemums at its base. Mom, I brought someone. This is Aurora, Marcus's daughter. We tore the villains down. You and Marcus can rest now. I'll look after her. Promise. He turned, eyes fierce with sincerity. Aurora, this isn't impulse. Since I was 15, first time I saw your picture on Marcus's piano, I've carried you in my head. Back then I was just a kid, and Dylan already had your hand. I won't wait again. From his pocket, velvet box. He dropped to one knee. I know the last ring became shackles. I don't ask for instant yes, only a chance to love you out loud, guard you, teach you to trust again. Will you give me that chance? Sunbeams glanced through oak leaves, freckling him with gold. I looked at the man who'd bulldozed my nightmares, who offered me a future measured in horizons. The iceberg inside me melted. Smiling, I extended my hand. Adrian, let's climb the taller view together. Thank you for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this tale? If it moved you, hit like and share it with a friend. Drop your thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories. See you next time.